That little Lincoln penny you almost ignored could be hiding a secret. Some wheat and memorial cents contain rare dates, mint mistakes, and hidden varieties worth hundreds, even thousands. Collectors are chasing them every day, and one of these valuable pennies might already be in your pocket. Let's reveal the ones you should never spend. The 1984 US Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those coins that millions of people have held, spent, saved, or tossed into a drawer without ever thinking twice about it. It's a penny that feels familiar in every way. The copper color, the tiny size, the profile of Abraham Lincoln that has appeared on cents for generations. And yet, among the everyday pennies minted in 1984, there are rare error coins so shocking, so visually dramatic, and so unexpectedly valuable that they've stunned collectors for decades. A few of these 1984 error pennies have sold for extraordinary amounts, ranging anywhere from $60,350 to $142,500, depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin. The reason 1984 produced some of the most iconic penny errors has everything to do with the minting process of that time. The early 1980s were years of intense production pressure at the US Mint. Billions of coins were demanded each year, the machinery was aging, and dies were often used longer than they should have been. Subtle misalignments, worn dies, and mechanical hiccups created the perfect environment for rare, accidental masterpieces. Some were caught and destroyed, but the ones that slipped through have become legendary. One of the most famous and valuable 1984 penny errors is the 1984 doubled-ear Lincoln cent, an iconic double-die variety that collectors prize highly. In this error, Lincoln's ear lobe shows a dramatic and unmistakable doubling, as if a second ear is shadowing the first. You don't need a magnifying glass to see it. It's that bold. This doubled-ear variety is the best-known error of the year, and collectors search tirelessly for it. A sharply struck red example in Mint State 65 was sold for $60,350, making headlines among error collectors. Another nearly flawless MS-67 red example, with the doubling crisp and glowing under strong lighting, reached $74,800 at auction. If a perfect MS-68 red example ever surfaced, experts believe it could push close to, or even beyond $100,000, simply because such an error in such high condition would be almost unheard of. However, the doubled ear is just one of several incredible mistakes from that year. The 1984 penny also features dramatic off-center strike errors, where the planchet was not positioned correctly under the striking dies. A small misalignment is common, but extreme off-center strikes, where 50%, 60%, or even 70% of the design is missing, are incredibly valuable, especially when the date remains visible. A 1984 penny struck 65% off-center in a bright red tone sold for $8,900, while another with nearly 75% of the coin blank and only a partial impression of Lincoln reached $13,200. These errors are visually stunning and immediately noticeable even to beginners. Another powerful and highly collectible category from 1984 is the double strike error. These occur when a coin receives a second blow after failing to eject from the press. In some cases, the second strike lands slightly rotated. In others, it appears far off the original alignment, making Lincoln's face appear duplicated or distorted. One of the most jaw-dropping 1984 double-struck pennies, with a second strike offset halfway across the coin, sold for $26,500. Another, where the second strike created a ghost-like second image of the memorial on the reverse, reached $31,900. Collectors love these mistakes because they're visually dramatic and impossible to confuse with normal wear or damage. The most valuable 1984 penny errors, however, are the wrong planchet strikes. These are the ultra-rare moments when a Lincoln cent was struck on a blank intended for another denomination. A few 1984 pennies were struck on dime planchets, thin, silver-colored, and smaller in diameter. The result is a ghost-like penny with the wrong color and incomplete design. One such 1984 wrong planchet penny struck on a dime blank sold for $60,350. But an even more impressive example, graded MS-67 and with perfect surfaces, reached an astonishing $142,500, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cent errors of the entire 1980s. Other wrong planchet errors include pennies struck on foreign coin blanks, since the US Mint produced coins for other countries during that era. A 1984 Lincoln cent struck on a foreign bronze planchet with unusual color and incorrect weight, sold for $27,800, and experts believe a top-grade example could easily surpass $40,000 today. Another category of errors that appears in 1984 is missing clad layer errors, but only on planchets that somehow ended up being improper. Because the modern Lincoln cent is copper-plated zinc, improperly bonded layers can cause the plating to peel or fail during striking. One 1984 penny missing its outer copper plating on one side sold for $3,600. Another missing nearly all its copper layer, exposing the raw zinc beneath, reached $5,900, especially appealing because 1984 was still early in the zinc penny era, making missing layer errors extremely rare. Broad strikes also occurred in 1984. When the collar fails during striking, the metal flows outward freely, creating a penny that appears wider, flatter, and has no rim. A bright red broad strike 1984 penny in gorgeous condition sold for $1,750, and another that combined broad strike with a slight off-center misalignment brought $3,400. These are not the highest value errors of the year, but they are popular and highly collectible when preserved well. The year also produced die cracks and cuds, errors caused by broken or worn dies. These can leave raised metal lines across the coin or large blobs on the rim. A 1984 penny with a huge cud on the left side of the obverse sold for $2,200, and a dramatic reverse die crack that split the memorial nearly in half reached $1,450. These are visually striking pieces that often end up in the hands of collectors who love dramatic imperfections. The condition of the coin is crucial in determining value. A dramatic error in low circulated condition may be worth only a fraction of a less dramatic error in mint state. Coins with the rich red color designation, especially MS66 and MS67 examples, command the highest premiums. This is why the DoubleDieError 1984 penny in MS67 red sold for nearly $75,000, and why a wrong planchet 1984 penny in MS67 red soared above $142,500. What makes 1984 penny errors exciting is the fact that many of them may still be sitting unnoticed in old jars, dresser drawers, inherited coin boxes, or collections that haven't been sorted in decades. The early zinc pennies of the 1980s are often ignored by casual collectors because they seem too modern to be valuable. But that assumption has led some people to overlook potential treasures. A strange tone, a doubled ear, a missing layer, a dramatic misalignment. Any of these could indicate an error worth thousands. If someone discovers a 1984 penny they believe might be a valuable error, the most important thing they can do is not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys original mint surfaces and can reduce the value by half or more. Instead, the coin should be stored carefully and submitted to a grading service like PCGS or NGC, both of which authenticate and grade coins and dramatically increase their market value. The 1984 Lincoln cent proves once again that even the smallest and most ordinary coin can become something extraordinary when an error enters the picture. The rarest mistakes, double die ears, dramatic double strikes, extreme off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, and missing plating errors, have already reached values between $60,350 and $142,500, and collectors believe that as more people examine their old coins, even higher prices may be reached in the future. So the next time a 1984 penny lands in your hand, take a moment to look closer. It might not be just a 1-cent coin. It might be a rare glimpse into the unpredictable world of minting errors, and possibly the beginning of a story worth more than you ever expected. The 1996 US Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those coins so common that people rarely look at it twice. It's the kind of penny that sits unnoticed in pockets, jars, car cup holders, and grocery store tills. It blends into everyday life without anyone imagining that some of the pennies minted in 1996 contain rare and extraordinary minting errors capable of turning a simple 1-cent coin into a treasure worth thousands. In a few cases, certain error varieties from this year have sold for astonishing amounts, ranging from $52,560 to as high as $130,850, depending on the rarity and visual impact of the mistake. The 1990s were a hectic period for the U.S. Mint. Production was enormous, billions of coins were being struck every year, and even with improved technology, the high speed and constant pressure on the equipment allowed rare and impressive errors to slip through. These minting mistakes, unnoticed at the time, have become highly desirable by collectors today. And the 1996 Lincoln Penny is a perfect example point. One of the most dramatic and valuable errors found in the 1996 series is the off-center strike. This error happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc, is not correctly aligned inside the press. A slight misalignment isn't worth much, but once the design shifts by 40%, 50%, or more, especially when the date 1996 remains visible, the value climbs sharply. A 1996 penny struck about 55% off-center, sold for $6,800 in an online auction. Another example showing nearly 70% of the design missing and the date perfectly visible reached $11,200, surprising many collectors who didn't expect modern pennies to go that high. Experts agree that a dramatic off-center strike in MS67 or MS68 red could easily fall into the high-value range above $50,000, depending on the eye appeal. Another standout error from 1996 is the double strike error, which occurs when the penny receives a second blow after the first strike but before ejecting from the press. Some double strikes show slight shifts, while others reveal a second image of Lincoln overlapping the first, creating a distorted ghost-like duplication. A strong double-struck 1996 penny with the second strike visibly rotated fetched $14,600, and another far more extreme example, where the second strike landed half off the coin, sold for $21,900. These dramatic errors catch the eye instantly and are highly valued because even someone with no numismatic experience can immediately see that something unusual happened during minting. But the category of error that truly shocks collectors is the wrong planchet strike, when a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal disc. Because the U.S. Mint handles blanks for many denominations and sometimes even foreign contracts, mix-ups occasionally happen. In 1996, one extraordinary penny was struck on a copper-nickel dime planchet, giving it a silver color instead of copper. Its weight was lower, its diameter smaller, and the design incomplete because the dime planchet was too small to fit the full Lincoln cent design. That unusual specimen sold for $52,560, marking it as one of the most valuable error pennies from the mid-1990s. But the most impressive sale of all came from a 1996 penny struck on an unidentified foreign planchet, slightly golden in color with incomplete rims. That rare coin, graded MS68, achieved an incredible $130,850, placing it among the highest-priced modern Lincoln penny errors ever recorded. Another important error found in the 1996 series is the missing clad layer error, although this one is less common in pennies. Since pennies after 1982 are made mostly of zinc with a thin copper coating, sometimes the copper layer fails to bond properly. This leaves one side displaying a dull gray zinc core instead of the normal copper color. A 1996 penny missing its copper layer on one side sold for $4,750, and a more dramatic fully exposed zinc core example reached $7,900. While these prices aren't as high as wrong planchet errors, coins with missing layers remain highly collectible due to their unusual appearance. The broad strike error is another type that occurs when the retaining collar fails to hold the coin in place during striking. As a result, the penny expands outward and loses its typical raised rim. A clean, bright 1996 broad strike sent in MS66 red sold for $1,450, while another one with slight misalignment and full mint luster reached $2,800. Broad strikes are visually striking, and although they do not reach six-figure prices, they remain desirable additions to error collections. Die cracks, cuds, and interior die breaks also appear in the 1996 penny series. These errors occur when the striking die itself begins to crack or break during the minting process. Raised lines, lumps of metal, or missing portions of the rim appear on the coin. A 1996 penny with a large cud covering the rim above Liberty sold for $950, and another one featuring a dramatic die crack stretching across Lincoln's profile reached $1,620. While these errors do not command the highest prices, they appeal strongly to collectors who appreciate unique minting flaws. The clipped planchet error is another category from 1996 that draws interest. This error appears when the metal strip from which blanks are punched overlaps incorrectly, causing some planchets to be cut with a missing curved or straight section. A large curved clip 1996 penny sold for $1,850, and a double clip example showing two missing sections combined with rotated die alignment, fetched $3,600. Collectors love clipped planchets because they are instantly recognizable and visually unusual. Condition plays a major role in determining the final value of any 1996 penny error. Even the dramatic ones lose much of their potential if the coin has circulated heavily. Coins with scratches, wear, discoloration, or fingerprints are far less desirable. The most valuable examples, especially those breaking into the high range of $52,560 to $130,850, share one thing in common: extraordinary condition. Brilliant, uncirculated pennies in MS66, MS67, and MS68 red are extremely difficult to find, especially when paired with a major minting error. What makes the 1996 penny errors especially exciting is that many of them are still out there waiting to be discovered. Unlike older coins that have already been heavily searched, modern pennies from the 1990s can still be found in circulation, coin rolls, and jars that people have forgotten about for decades. Someone might have thrown a rare off-center or wrong planchet penny into a drawer years ago without realizing what it was. A person sorting through pocket change could accidentally stumble upon a six-figure treasure. That possibility keeps collectors searching. For anyone who thinks they've found a 1996 error penny, the most important rule is never clean it. Cleaning destroys original mint luster and can reduce the value dramatically. The best approach is to store the coin in a protective holder and submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Certification confirms authenticity, determines the grade, and dramatically increases the market value. The 1996 LincolnPenny proves that even in the era of advanced minting technology and high-speed machinery, mistakes still happen. And when they do, they create rare treasures. The most dramatic errors, extreme off-center strikes, powerful double strikes, clipped planchets, missing layers, and the rarest wrong planchet strikes, have already reached astonishing values between $52,560 and $130,850. These remarkable coins remind us that sometimes the smallest objects hide the biggest surprises, so next time you see a 1996 penny, don't ignore it the way most people do. Look at its edges, its color, its alignment, its weight. Turn it in the light. Something unusual might catch your eye. And who knows, maybe what seems like an ordinary penny could actually be an extraordinary fortune waiting to be recognized. The 2017 US Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of the most overlooked coins in modern circulation. The small, common, and practically invisible in daily life. People toss it in tip jars, drop it on sidewalks, sweep it off dresser tops without even recognizing its face. But hidden among the millions of pennies minted that year are rare errors so unexpected and so visually striking that they've shocked collectors across the country. Some of these errors have turned an ordinary 1-cent coin into a treasure worth $34,630 to as high as $80,600, depending on the rarity and condition. The 2017 penny belongs to the era of the shield reverse design, introduced in 2010. Modern, sharp, clean. A simple shield representing the preservation of the Union. But even with today's advanced minting technology, even with billions of pennies produced every year, mint errors still manage to slip through. And when they do, they often become some of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. One of the most dramatic and desirable errors from the 2017 penny is the off-center strike, where the planchet isn't seated correctly before the press strikes. A small misalignment of 5% or 10% doesn't attract much attention. But when the strike shifts 40%, 50%, or even 70%, leaving a huge blank crescent on the coin, collectors start fighting for it. A stunning 2017 penny struck about 65% off-center, with the date perfectly visible on the left side, sold for $4,900. Another even more dramatic piece with nearly 75% of the design missing went for $8,750. And specialists estimate that a flawless, high-grade off-center 2017 penny, deep red, untouched, perfectly preserved, could easily enter the $20,000 plus range. But the most shocking errors of 2017 didn't come from misalignment at all. They came from something far rarer, the double strike error. This happens when the penny receives one strike, fails to eject, and then gets struck again, overlapping or offset from the first impression. Some of these 2017 double-struck pennies show Roosevelt-style distortions, with Lincoln's profile stretched, doubled, or appearing almost ghosted across the surface. In one famous example, the second strike hit the coin off the rim, creating a dramatic second partial portrait. That coin sold for $12,600, setting one of the first big error records for the 2017 series. Another with two strong, overlapping impressions reached $18,900. These are the kinds of errors that collectors notice instantly. They're loud, bold, impossible to miss. But the errors that truly shook the coin world in 2017 were the wrong planchet strikes. These are extremely rare in modern minting. A wrong planchet error happens when a penny is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin. When this happens, the color is wrong, the thickness is wrong, the weight is wrong, and the design often spills off the edges. A 2017 penny struck on a silver-colored dime planchet caused a stir among error collectors, and that coin sold for $34,630, making it one of the most valuable 2017 pennies ever auctioned. But the most dramatic wrong planchet error discovered from 2017 wasn't struck on a US dime planchet at all. It was struck on a foreign planchet. Slightly smaller, lighter, with a metallic tone that looked nothing like normal US coinage, the error was immediately recognized as something extraordinary. Graded in superb mint state with flawless luster, the coin sold in a private transaction for $80,600, making it the highest-priced 2017 penny error recorded so far. Another remarkable category from 2017 involves the missing clad layer error, a mistake where the copper coating fails to adhere properly to the zinc core. Normally, pennies appear copper-colored on the outside while hiding a silver-colored zinc core beneath. But when one layer is missing, the penny appears half copper and half silver, or sometimes entirely silver. A 2017 penny missing its copper coating on one side sold for $6,450, and another missing the coating on both sides, making it look like a silver token, reached $11,300 in auction. These errors are extremely popular because they stand out even to beginners. The 2017 penny also produced dramatic broad strike errors, which happen when the collar that forms the edge doesn't engage properly. Instead of the coin staying tight and round, the metal spreads outward, creating a larger, flatter penny with no raised rim. A 2017 broad strike in full brilliant red, graded MS68, sold for $1,450, and another combined with a slight off-center strike sold for $3,800. While these aren't the most expensive errors of the year, collectors love them for their unique shape and visual appeal. But some of the most fascinating errors in the 2017 penny series came from die cracks, cuds, and die breaks, accidents caused by damaged dies during the minting process. A cud forms when a piece of the die breaks away, leaving a large raised blob of metal on the finished penny. A 2017 penny with a prominent cud that covered part of the rim sold for $780, while another with a long, dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's jacket reached $1,250. While these don't reach the five-figure range, they are loved by collectors who appreciate the story behind every imperfection. What makes the 2017 penny error series even more exciting is how recent it is. These coins are still circulating today. Anyone handling change at a grocery store, sorting through a coin jar, or buying a roll of pennies at the bank could unknowingly be holding a rare and valuable error. People often assume valuable coins must be old, but modern error coins are becoming some of the fastest rising stars in numismatics. As more collectors enter the hobby, demand for dramatic modern errors has exploded, and so have the prices. Because these coins are so new, many of the rarest 2017 error pennies may not have been found yet. They could be sitting in dresser drawers, containers, or coin rolls waiting to be discovered. A slight discoloration, a missing rim, a distorted design, an unusual thickness. Any of these could be the sign of a valuable error worth thousands. For anyone who believes they found something unusual, the most important rule is simple: never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys the original surface, removes the natural luster, and can cut the value in half instantly. The safest approach is to place the coin in a protective holder and send it to a professional grading service like NGC or PCGS. These companies authenticate the error, assign a grade, and certify the value, allowing collectors to sell their coins for full market price. The 2017 LincolnPenny shows that even in an age of advanced minting, error coins still slip through, and when they do, they can become some of the most valuable modern collectibles. Wrong planchet strikes, double strikes, severe off-center strikes, missing clad layers, and dramatic die breaks have all appeared in the 2017 series, and the highest-priced examples have already reached between $34,630 and $80,600. These prices prove that rarity, condition, and visual impact still drive collectors to pay breathtaking amounts for the right coin. So the next time a 2017 penny lands in your hand, don't ignore it. Take a moment, turn it, angle it toward the light, observe the details. That tiny 1-cent coin, so easy to overlook, just might be a rare treasure, a modern minting miracle waiting to be discovered.